Hi, welcome to another episode of Unprepared Thoughts. These are just bonus episodes that I release in the first week of the month and the last week of the month. October was set up quite weirdly, I'm going to say, because the last day of the month was Thursday, the 31st. So this episode is going to be for the last week of October and the first week of November. So that's a bit, that one, whenever the month looks like that, I'm just going to have to do it in that way, where it won't necessarily be exactly in that last week of the month, but it will then move over to the first week of the new month. Anyways, I've had a lot of thoughts floating around in my head, but one of the biggest ones is the fact that I want good things for myself, and it's good to be in this place, and I'm sharing this because I want you to want good things for yourself too. You don't have to live in the shadows of certain things or in the shackles of certain things, mistakes you made in the past, choices that have affected you that other people made in the past, such as your parents or family members. You are allowed to want more, and you are allowed to want goodness for yourself. And I'm talking about being emotionally well, mentally well, spiritually well, even physically well. And of course, if you are looking to acquire certain material things, I'm not going to say to you that that's not what I'm talking about. It's good to want to have certain things. It's fine to want to have certain things, but that's the good life I'm talking about, where even when I haven't reached a certain point in my life, I haven't achieved a certain goal, I still feel good about myself. I don't feel less than just because I don't have a car, which is true. I used to think I'm less than because my age mates have a car. My age mates can drive. And I can't yet. My age mates have moved into their own homes and I haven't yet. And, this constantly comparing myself, I spoke about this in a previous episode, in this past week's episode, I spoke about how I used to deal with comparing myself a lot. I would compare myself to other people, and then it would make me feel so bad about myself. But I've really worked on that, and I continue to work on that. And even when I do find myself going, oh, when is it going to be my turn? Or I'm this age and I don't have this yet, I remind myself, this is your life, your journey. You and that person are not the same person. But I feel good about myself, and that's something that you should desire. That's something that I hope you desire, to feel good about yourself, even when you haven't attained certain things, achieved certain goals. And to make choices, consciously choose every single day to create your life, design your life in a way where you will be happy even when you don't have certain things, where you are going to choose goodness for yourself even when you are at a disadvantage, in a situation where it looks like things are just not going to come together, where you're still going to say, I'm not willing to do this because I know that it speaks to everything that is anti my happiness. It's going to take away from how good I feel about myself. It's going to take away from my beliefs, and so it's something that I want to work on even more in 2025, just being very intentional about creating a life that is good for me, that feels good for me, and being intentional about it. As it is, God has created a life for me that is good for me, and so I must play my part. Obviously, I can't just not meet him halfway, and by that I mean he gives me so much peace. I have so much fulfillment, knowledge and understanding that surpasses all of the knowledge and understanding that I have gotten from reading an article or from studying when I was in university. He gives me He has given me, He continues to give me things that cannot be bought, that cannot be taken away from me. And I'm so grateful, and I want to continue on that very path. And so I was just thinking about how when you want a good life, you need to choose good things for yourself and be against anything that goes against your good life. So if you're somebody who really wants more emotional peace, more mental peace, then you have to work through those barriers that are setting you back, or those things that are making you feel less than. And once you've worked on them, be consistent when it comes to protecting your mind, protecting your mental health. Don't go into spaces that are going to set you back. And when I say spaces that are going to set you back, I'm talking about stay away from people that are going to be mean to you under the guise of, oh, it's constructive criticism. Don't be around people that are not going to be good for your growth. Be around people that are actually going to give you actual constructive criticism, and not being ugly but hiding behind constructive criticism. You know what I mean? Don't take yourself and don't put yourself in the same situation when it comes to that toxic relationship. Remove yourself from that, because that's going to take away from that goodness, that stability of your mental well-being that you're trying to achieve, that goodness in your emotional well-being. So that's what I mean when I say be anti that. And just going into a new year, because we all know how quickly November is going to go by, and then December is going to go by just as quickly. Just going into the new year, think about what a good life will look like for you, and what it is that you can see yourself needing to do to be able to achieve that good life, that goodness that you ultimately want to have. It's very doable. It's so attainable. I've spent the last year working through things, healing through things, forgiving myself, forgiving other people, and just more and more intentionally building into this good life that I want, and understanding that I am in charge, I am in control at the end of the day of what I allow in my life and what I don't allow. And so I can't keep blaming other people or keep playing the victim. I have to take charge, and I have to choose, and I have to allow in what I want to allow, and I have to keep out what I want to keep out. And some situations, they are beyond my control, but there are many other things that are within my control. And so what is within my control? What is within my control is what I'm going to control, and what is beyond my control is what I'm going to leave alone. There's nothing I can do about that. And with what is within my control, I'm not going to try and make it perfect and make it straight. I'm just going to do what I need to do, what will be best for me, what will be suitable for me, where I am mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and I'm going to make it work in that way. So I say all of this to say, choose now. Start choosing now what you want. Don't get to the 31st of December or the 1st of January and go, new year, new me, but you haven't actually put anything down. You haven't figured out what that new year, new you looks like, what you are looking to achieve in certain areas of your life, who you are trying to become in certain areas of your life. You need to work on it now. Figure it out now. Decide on it now, and run with that, move with that. In the book of Habakkuk, it is a book in the Bible, says that you need to write it down. Write it down plainly on the tablet and let it be known. So write it down, figure it out, sit with yourself. This is a good time. Christians, it's a good time for you to sit down, talk to God, fast, come together, let him tell you where he's wanting you to go, what he's wanting you to do in the new year. This is also the time where people are doing their vision boards, their mood boards, whatever it is. Just remember that, especially if your life is being led by Christ and you are fully immersed in relationship with him, that you shouldn't make it about what you want. It should be about what he is calling you to do, who he is calling you to be, where he is needing you to go. And so you need to be in alignment with him, and you need to hear him speak. So pray about it, journal about it, and fast so that you can hear him clearly and so that you can understand what he wants. But if there's something that I've learned, one of my favorite of many lessons, but right now, for the context and the purpose of this conversation, one of my favorite things that I've learned in my 20s is that there are good things around me all the time. There have been good things around me in the past a lot as well. But obviously at the time, I didn't really know what good looked like to me. Or I didn't know what actual goodness was. I had a construct of what goodness was, and that was based on what other people were saying goodness was, getting an education, working, and then acquiring all of the material things and saving the money, making the big monies, and being in the right rooms with the affluent people. That was good to me. But now a good life to me is where I'm fulfilled, I'm at peace, I am doing what God has called me to do, I am living out my different purposes, my different callings. I am tsegezo, created to do and to be a part of the kingdom of the Lord. And I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That is another good thing that I know to be true. But other good things to me include just being happy, content, at peace, not carrying the weight of pain and suffering and hurt on my shoulders, having forgiven myself and having forgiven other people that have hurt me in the past. That's a good life to me. A good life is the life that God has created for me to live. Goodness to me is where I am not in a constant panic or stress because of things are not happening the way I had planned. I always just say now, if it was not God's intention, then it was not going to happen. If it was not meant to happen, then it was not going to happen. I did what I was supposed to. I put my best foot forward. If it's a no from him, it's a no from him. If it's a yes from him, then we keep going. So goodness has become more clear to me, and I actually feel good in the way that I live, in the choices that I make, in the person that I'm constantly becoming, the learning, the unlearning. And so I'm very content with how I'm going to continue to build into the goodness that is my life, into goodness for me in my life. So, yeah, in the spirit of being at the end of the year, and in the spirit of just continuing to grow and learn and become better people, I'm encouraging you to choose more for yourself, to know that you can have more, to know that more is not always going to be the money, the cars, the houses, specific people, specific places. Sometimes the good thing, a lot of the times the good thing, the more, is the peace, the joy, the fulfillment. It's the freedom from your trauma, from your pain, from your past. It is not being attached to toxicity, whether that be people, eating habits, poor financial planning, or a poor relationship with money. More is being emotionally well, mentally well. It's being at so much peace that even when things are not going your way, or even when you're frustrated, you just go, you know what, it's in God's hands, and it's just that for me. That is all it is. So yeah, I really hope that you are going to give yourself some time to think about what a good 2025 will look like to you, and that you will make the necessary efforts to make sure that the end result of the coming year is something good, it's something beautiful to you, it's something where you really put in the work, and where you're ultimately feeling at peace, and you're feeling fulfilled, and you're feeling content. Yeah, that's all from me for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any thoughts that you want to share, leave them in the comment box. I would be so happy to hear from you. And if you know anyone who would be really happy to hear this or who needs to hear this, please share it with them. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Thank you again for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And I will definitely be... I can't say I'll see you in the next one. We will catch up. We will catch up in the next episode. Bye.